The fight for faith. If you're going to obtain faith and you're going to be a faith walker, you're going to have to fight for faith. If you're going to obtain that level of faith that can be lived by, and you're going to make faith your lifestyle or your way of life, you gotta fight for the faith. The only way to obtain that level of faith where you can honestly say, this is how I live. Faith is what I live by. The only way to get there is to fight for faith. The scripture tells us to earnestly contend for the faith. Earnestly contend. That means you got to fight. That's why we see that so many people do not obtain that kind of faith. We see people that try to do different things by faith, and they want to use faith sometime. They want to use faith in some areas. They want to use faith for some of their problems. But not many people actually live their lives based on faith. You don't meet many people who base their entire lives, I'm talking about everything, every decision based on faith. You don't meet those kind of people. Not too often. You don't meet people too often who think according to faith, who speak according to faith, and live according to faith. That kind of faith right there is only obtained through a fight. That kind of faith is only achieved through a fight for faith. But most of the time, you do run into people who are fighting to get that Mercedes. They don't mind fighting to get that big house. They don't mind fighting to land that job. But if you would fight to obtain faith, you wouldn't have to fight to get that house. If you would fight to obtain the faith, you wouldn't have to fight to get that job. You wouldn't have to fight to get that car. You wouldn't have to fight to be healed. You wouldn't have to fight to have a peace of mind. If you would just fight and obtain faith. Somebody asked me, does faith actually work? Does faith actually work? I'm telling you right now, the only thing in life that does work is faith. The only thing in life that truly works is God's system. God's system is faith. God's way of doing things is faith. That's the only thing that honestly works in this life. If you take a look around, everything that you see that is successful was done by faith. I don't care whether the person that did it goes to church or not. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't care if they are wicked. I don't care if they are demonic. Anybody who does anything successful in this life, they did it by faith, because faith is the only thing that works. Faith works, and it works for everybody. Faith works whether you like it or not. Faith works whether you believe it or not. Faith works whether you ever use it or not. Faith works whether you know it or not. So the answer is yes. Does faith work? Yes. The problem is so many people have lied over the years about being in faith and living by faith, and that's what messed me up, because I saw these people say, I'm doing this, that, and the other by faith. And then I saw these people fail in what they were trying to do. And I said, well, faith must not work. I saw people that said they were going to be healed by faith. And then these people never got healed. Some of them died. And it makes you say, well, they said they were in the faith and they didn't even get healed. So I don't know if I can really trust that God will heal me by faith or not. Because I saw people lying about being in the faith. And that's exactly what these people were. Because faith works. I had to find it out for myself. You will probably have to find it out for yourself. But seek it out and you will see that faith works. If you say you tried faith and it didn't work, you're lying. Maybe you thought you tried faith. If you say you know somebody that was in the faith and it didn't work, you're lying. They are lying, because faith works. It's not even possible for faith not to work. But in order to be in the faith like you're supposed to be, you have to fight for it. And anybody who's saying they're in the faith, but they haven't had to fight, I'm telling you now, they are lying. Nobody comes into faith without fighting. Just because you did something and you believed for something and you got it, really don't mean that you're in the faith. That just means you used it. Just because you use faith on the behalf of somebody else and they got what you believed with them to get, that don't mean y'all in the faith. That just means you just saw faith work. But you have to make faith your lifestyle. And there is no way you will ever be in faith and make faith your lifestyle without a fight. Because when you start to make faith your lifestyle, demons are coming. When you start trying to do everything by faith, demons are coming. When you start thinking and speaking according to faith, demons are coming. And they're coming because faith is a fight. So you got people trying to decide whether or not they want to live by faith. Then you got people who've already decided and they're fighting to get into the faith. And then you got some people who have already fought and got in the faith, and they're trying to go even deeper in the things of God. That's when life totally changes. That's when you see life totally different than you ever have. When you fight the fight of faith and win, man, it's over. That's when the complaining stops. That's when the crying stops. That's when the doubting and the pouting stops. That's when the struggling stops. That's when the listening to what other people think about what you can and can't do stops. That's when taking other people's advice about what you can and cannot have stops. That's when allowing other people to have control over your life stops. That's when you take control. That's when you step into the place you should be in the power of God and command your life to be what your life should be through faith. And when you get into faith like that, that is what the scriptures is talking about. That's when you really know God. And that's where you get the scripture that they who know their God will do great things. Bottom line, they who know their God will do great things. The Bible calls them exploits. You about to go above and beyond anything you've ever seen. You're about to go above and beyond anything you've ever witnessed. That's what faith does in the life of a believer. So yes, faith does work, but you gotta fight for the faith.